Next, 4-Hers in the ring with gray polos are the class of 2024 4-H seniors who graduated in May. These polos have been sponsored by Whithop Farm Supply. Washington County 4-H wants to congratulate Miss Emma Chenoweth on their recent graduation and thank her and her families for their recent years working with us. Hello, is this one any louder? Okay, thanks guys. Our champion junior Dairy Dough will be receiving a trophy sponsored by Mike and Bev Black.
Good afternoon, everybody, and hot one, so we're going to try to keep rolling through them if we can. Step into the first class of dairy goats here, and we've got quite a bit of differences just in terms of breed, in terms of age and maturity. I think when you put those things aside and start evaluating them on structure, continuation, those sorts of things, the ones I gravitate towards maybe are just a little bit better in terms of their angulation up front. They draw back just a little bit leveler down their top line, and that's what brings me to the young lady's doe here. I think that one is long and extended up front. I think she's really, really good, and the angle to her shoulder, the way it comes down to the front part of her knee, draws back really good there, is really good right there behind her withers. Just a nice one to go ahead and start. Let's give that young lady a nice round of applause. As we start to work down, smaller doe comes here in next, a little bit more immature, just a little bit younger in terms of her age and not showing the same amount of maturity. I did think that one balanced up really good from the side, offered some things just in terms of symmetry that I think is very good. Top line is so level and smooth. Didn't read that one just as good in terms of elevation up front as relation to our class winner, but nonetheless one that I still think has a very promising future. Really similar one to our class winner does come next. Shot longer, shot more extended, like those things about her. I didn't read that one's skeleton just as comfortable. The angle to that one's shoulder, didn't read her quite as good out of her hip and her hind leg. Young lady comes up here with a dapple colored one next. Love the performance, love just the extra body that that one has. Again, for me, didn't read that one's structure quite as good. A little straighter in her shoulder, not quite as good right there behind the mid part of her shoulder and as she comes into her loin. But one that's so good just in terms of growth and performance. I think she did a very, very nice job. Round out the class with two smaller does and Nigerian dwarfs, I believe, but still have some in terms of body. Didn't think they maybe balanced up quite as nicely. Didn't think their structure was quite as good either. Very good class. Let's go ahead and congratulate all them.
Congratulations to our junior dairy doe class. Our champion junior dairy doe went to Addison Giro from the Highlanders 4-H Club. She will be receiving a purple rosette and a trophy sponsored by Mike and Bev Black. Our reserve champion junior dairy doe also went to Addison Giro. She will be receiving a lavender rosette. Third place in that class went to Sandra Edwards of the Highlanders. Fourth went to Casey Sexton of the Riverside Ramblers. Fifth went to Emma Chenoweth of the Green Acres. And sixth went to Mark Chenoweth of Green Acres. From the top down, it reads 5, 6, 3, 2, 1, 4. And first and second place in that class received purples, and third, fourth, fifth, and sixth received blue ribbons. In the ring now is our class of yearling dairy does under 2 years old. Correction on that last class. Reserve went to Sandra Edwards of the Highlanders, and third went to Addison Giro. I'd like to take the chance to recognize our judge for today. Our judge is Mr. Derek Henningsen. He grew up in eastern Iowa showing sheep and goats. He attended junior college at Iowa Central, where he competed on their livestock judging team. He then transferred to Iowa State, where he again competed on the livestock judging team while receiving a bachelor's in animal science. After he finished his bachelor's, he moved on to get his master's in animal science with a focus on sow longevity. Derek and his wife, McKenna, now live outside Washington. So let's give a big round of applause and thank Derek for coming in and judging our goats today. We'd like to give a big thank you to KCTC for their generous gift of live streaming all of the livestock shows this week. The link for that is listed on the show program, so you can tune in to the Goat Show today and other livestock shows this week. We appreciate their generous support in live streaming all of our livestock shows. Families and friends from around the world can also hop on, I think, their YouTube page and get the chance to enjoy the fair if they're not able to come this year. When the fair is over, you can actually enjoy the show again by following the link and to see not only the Goat Show, but all of the other livestock shows from the Washington County Fair. So let's give a big thank you to KCTC for live streaming all of our livestock shows for us. At the conclusion of our senior dairy doe class, we will be going into our champion dairy doe drive. Again, at the conclusion of our senior dairy doe class, we will do our champion dairy doe drive.
Another good class of dairy goats come out here, and again, in my opinion, I'm big on first impressions. I'm big on doing the simple things. To me, in this class, starting the young ladies directly in front of me here, like we talked in that previous class, in terms of elegance, in terms of symmetry and continuation, I think that one offers a very good view up front. I think her structure is built very, very long term, yet I still think that one has some center body and dimension, some softness right there through her rib. I just think that's a great place to go ahead and start our second class. Similar doe comes here next. Again, I think similar in terms of extension up front, in terms of the shape to her shoulder, strength to her top line, I think is all very good. I didn't read that one maybe quite as long and quite as neat up front as our class winner, but still refined, still very, very good in that regard. Different type of doe comes here next, and I think this one naturally comes with just a little bit more thickness. She's naturally just a little bit bolder right there through her center body. With it though, I read her just a little bit coarser in terms of her shoulder. Don't see that one balancing up quite as nicely from the side. Real long fronted and tall extended one comes here next. Again, for me, didn't see that one balancing up quite as well, but has some performance, has some growth to her. Thought her freshness up front was good enough for me to keep her where she is. Really a bold bodied one comes here next. That's got a ton of capacity. Thought she, again, could be readjusted in the angle to her shoulder. We could draw that one back just a little bit better right there in her spine. A real long extended one comes here next. That's so true and symmetrical about her top line. I think the angle to her shoulder is very, very good. I didn't see enough growth in that particular doe. I didn't see enough performance in that particular doe. And then we round out the class with another one that's maybe sacrificing some in terms of overall performance, but she has some depth of body. Biggest picture for me, I saw her structure being the poorest. She's too straight off of both ends of her skeleton. Just need to redesign her some in those regards. Very good class. Let's go ahead and congratulate all of them.
Congratulations to our last class. First receiving a purple and a trophy sponsored by Wellman Produce is Sandra Edwards of the Highlanders. Second, and a purple receiving a rosette, is Addison Skelton of the Lime Creek Limelights. Third, with a blue, went to Jacob Robinson of the Riverside Ramblers. Fourth, in a blue, went to Tori Marsingill of the Riverside Enterprisers. Fifth, in a blue, went to Lillian Janasek from the Highlanders. Sixth, in a blue, went to Grace Skelton of the Our yearling Dairy Doe exhibitors. Coming into the ring now is our senior Dairy Doe class, over 2 years old and freshened. Have another class of 2024 graduating 4-H senior in the ring with us for this class. Reese Good of the Highlanders, wearing a gray polo sponsored by Woodall Farms. So if you give Reese a round of applause for all of their and their families showing goats the last how many years?
Really nice doe here in our senior class, and I think embodies everything you want, just from a balance perspective, from a structural quality perspective, and then you get in behind her, so full about her udder, her teats are square and come down very, very good. You know, ideally we could make her just a little bit more refined down there, but regardless, I think a high quality doe to go ahead and win this class as seniors, senior does. Probably the more refined one, just in terms of her udder, in terms of her teeth, is probably the young lady that's going to land in 2. Really good in terms of center body, really good in terms of her shoulder. I didn't read that one quite as good in terms of her balance, in terms of her continuation as our class winner, but nonetheless, I still think a very refined maternal kind of a doe comes here next. Kind of a basic fault-free doe is going to land in 3. I think her structure is solid. I think her balance is okay. I don't see that one quite as good just in terms of overall udder quality and udder fill, but nonetheless, I still think a quality female in general to go ahead and be landed there in 3. Round out the class with one that's really good in terms of her body shape, tons and tons of just center rib and dimension. Thought her teeth quality was probably the poorest. We're the most uneven in terms of our bag. I'd just like to see her a little bit better from that regard. very good class. Let's go ahead and congratulate all 4 of them.
Cal here, and I'm going to talk about KCTC's beefy broadband speeds. You can feast on the ultimate security experience. Monitor from anywhere, deter crime, and save money. KCTC offers a grade A premium menu of solutions, keeping you online, secured, and giving you the meat sweats. Plus, all new customers are entered to win a half a hog or a beef bundle. Don't stew on it. Visit kctc.net/beefy broadband.
Coming into the ring now is our champion, Dairy Dough Drive. Out of Class 1, we had first place going to Addison Giro, and second place going to Sandra Edwards. Out of our yearling Dairy Dough class, we had first going to Sandra Edwards, and second going to Addison Skelton. And out of our senior Dairy Dough class, we had first going to Addison Giro, and second going to Reese Good.
I think our Dairy Goat show has been very, very good. I think our class winners embody some female characteristics and yet still maybe go a step and beyond in relation to the ones in behind them, just in terms of balance, in terms of symmetry. You get them out here, and I do think there's one that I just gravitate towards in terms of totals, in terms of volume, in terms of having just a great start to her udder. I'll go show you her champion, and then we'll get you a reserve. Let's give them all a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our overall Dairy Dough Grand Champion, went to Miss Addison Giro of the Highlanders with her senior Dairy Dough out of Class 3. Our reserve champion overall Dairy Dough went to Sandra Edwards of the Highlanders with her yearling dough out of Class 2. Let's give our Dairy Dough exhibitors a round of applause. Coming into the ring now is Class 22-101, Dairy Goat Weathers.
everyone. My name is Jade Sheets, and I am the Washington County Fair Queen. I will be a senior this fall at Washington High School.
Hi, I'm Maya Murphy. I'm your Washington County Miss Congeniality, and I will also be a senior this fall at Washington High School.
I do apologize for not mentioning this earlier. Our champion dairy dough winner, Miss Addison Giro, will receive a trophy sponsored by Gene Miller and family, as well as a $25 from Mike and Bev Black. In the ring now is Class 101 Dairy Goat Weathers, weighing 36 to 81 pounds. We would like to recognize Addison Giro of the Highlanders 4-H Club for receiving a Dairy Goat Project Award at the 2023 Awards Night. She excelled in personal goat projects, learning, workshop, and leadership experiences. Congratulations, Addison. We've got 3 graduating seniors in this dairy weather class. We'd like to recognize Reese Good of the Highlanders, Emma Chenoweth of Green Acres, and Olivia Utzinger of the Lime Creek Limelights. Our 2024 graduating seniors wearing the gray polos. Congratulations on your graduation, and thank you for all of your years working with goats at the Washington County Fair. Immediately following the goat show today will be the Clover Kid Goat Show. Clover Kid participants have been mentored by goat showmen to learn more about the goat species. Please stick around and see the next generation getting involved in this department. Clover Kid participants in this class should get their show numbers from the Extension office.
Start to work in the market division here, and we got to prioritize some things on muscularity, prioritize some base width, and then still have some balance, some eye appeal, and then some structural quality on it as well. I think when you start to factor all those things together, the one that logically has to surface in my mind is the young ladies directly in front of me. I think it's one of the heavier muscled wethers in this particular class. I think he's one of the better balanced wethers in this particular class, and yet I still think his structure is pretty good as well. That guy's got tons of spread, tons of dimension, and still, like I said, handles it all very, very good across the skeleton. Nice weather to go ahead and start. Young lady that's going to be into probably is sacrificing some just in terms of overall dimension, in terms of spread, in terms of muscularity. I do think that one's build and design and balance is still very, very good. Probably need to have just a little bit more thickness in that one to work him up any higher. Blonde one comes here next, and I think that one's got some things from a muscularity standpoint that are pretty good, pretty wide when you step in behind him. Didn't read that one's balance maybe as good from this side. Didn't read his shoulder as nicely assembled as maybe the two in front of him. That one does have some muscularity. That one does have some thickness landing in 3 there. Really stout muscular one does come here next, and I think that one handles with as much spread as any on the top side of his skeleton. I didn't think his structure was good enough. He gets too round through his shoulder, gets too round out of his hip. He's one, in my opinion, still needs to balance just a little bit better as well. But good in terms of his body shape, good in terms of his muscularity. Similar story comes here next. Handles well out of the backside of his shoulder, good in terms of his body shape. Thought he didn't balance quite good enough for me. Thought we got a little straighter in the angle to his shoulder. As we start to work down the line, we work into some goats. The big one comes here next, and relative to his size, he's probably not wide enough. He doesn't handle with enough muscularity. I thought his skeleton was good. I liked his extra feature. That's what got him up as far as he did. Again, we start to work down, and we can start to work them out here. A good-bodied one comes next, needs more muscularity. Thought his body shape was really good. Solid white one, good in terms of length and extension. Another one needs more muscle on the top side of his skeleton. And then 2 younger wethers round out the class that are still really immature yet, but I'd still think, man, we've got to be just a little bit thicker than they are right now. Let's go ahead and congratulate all those exhibitors.
Congratulations to our Dairy Goat Weather class. Champion went to Addison Giro of the Highlanders. She'll be receiving a trophy sponsored by Statler Construction, as well as a $25 cash award from Dwayne and Vicky Fisher. Reserve went to Sandra Edwards of the Highlanders. Third went to Olivia Utzinger of the Lime Creek Limelights. Fourth went to Emma Chenoweth of Green Acres. Fifth went to Addison Giro of the Highlanders. Sixth went to Kale Miller of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Seventh went to Lillian Janosek of the Highlanders. Eighth went to Reese Good of the Highlanders. Ninth went to Grace Skelton of the Lime Creek Limelights. And 10th went to Addison Skelton of the Lime Creek Limelights. Receiving purples in that class are first and second place, and everybody else received blue ribbons. Reading from the top down, it goes 10, 7, 9, 8, 4, 2, scratch, 3, 5, 1, 6. In the ring now is our crossbred wethers. As a reminder to all exhibitors, parents, families, and patrons of the Washington County Fair today, please make sure to drink lots of water and stay hydrated. It is extremely hot outside. Again, please make sure to stay hydrated. Put some cool cloths on you, dip something in the cooler, but please stay hydrated today.
I think if you let muscularity and genuine width and having some true power dictate kind of your lineup here, to me this is how it assembles our kind of painted up one here. In my opinion, balances well. He's the heaviest muscled one in this particular class. He handles good out of the backside of his shoulder. Still get out and ask him to go, and I think he moves with plenty of comfort, with plenty of just agility built into that one. Skeleton real stout, wide-made one's going to land here in second. And pound for pound, he probably has as much muscle as any of them. He's really good out of the backside of his shoulder. He comes back really good into his forerib. He's got some depth of body. He's good back out there over his loin edge. I didn't read that one balancing up quite as nicely as our class winner. He's a little bit steeper in the angle to his shoulder. He's a little bit flatter and weaker in terms of his posture, and I need to redesign him from a skeleton standpoint to work him up any higher. Opposite thing can be said for the young man that's going to be in two. Long, extended, really good on his feet and legs. Relative to that guy's size, he doesn't have enough muscle for me. I need to give him more spread out of the backside of his shoulder. I need to make him just a little bit wider and thicker out of his hip. But I thought his balance was good. I thought his skeleton was good. That's what keeps him in the initial trio in this particular class. Young ladies kind of dappled up, tricolored one's going to go ahead and be 4. Just a basic kind of a market goat. Has some body, has some muscularity. I didn't see that one overwhelming in any particular area. I think it gives you a nice view from the side, but maybe not an elite one in terms of balance and presentation. Just a solid fundamental kind of a goat to be in 4. Really love the skeleton of the one coming here next. Much like the wether that was 3rd, I think that one's extended, has some bone, has some feature. I do think he's probably the lightest muscled one in this lineup anyway. Needs more spread, needs more dimension to get any higher. Round out the class with one that's good in terms of his body shape. He's not wide enough on the top side of his skeleton. He's a little straighter in the angle to his shoulder. Just need to redesign him off of a couple of areas. Good class. Let's go ahead and give them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our crossbred wether goat exhibitors. First in that class, receiving a purple and a championship trophy sponsored by Powell Funeral Homes is Kenzie Miller of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Kenzie Miller was also first runner-up in the Queen's pageant last night. Second, receiving a purple, goes to Olivia Utzinger of the Lime Creek Limelights. Third with a blue is Kale Miller of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Fourth, in a blue is Ashley Statler of the Lime Creek Limelights. Fifth in a blue is Kenzie Miller of the Lime Creek Live Wires, and sixth with the blue is Ashley Statler of the Lime Creek Limelights. From the top down, it reads 2, 6, 4, 5, 3, 1. In the ring now is our first class of junior breeding meat does born August 1st, 2023 to May 15th of 2024. Some of the animals from today's show will be sold in the livestock auction on Friday. Anyone from the community is welcome to come and buy some of our exhibitors' goats. The auction starts at 8:30 a.m. on Friday morning. Like to take a chance and recognize our judge again, Mr. Derek Henningsen. Originally grew up in eastern Iowa, showing sheep and goats. Him and his wife McKenna, who is a former exhibitor of the Washington County Fair, currently reside outside of Washington. Derek attended junior college at Illinois Central, where he competed on their livestock judging team. And then he transferred to Iowa State, where he once again competed on their livestock judging team while receiving a bachelor's in animal science. He then went on to complete his master's in animal science from Iowa State with a focus on sow longevity, and now currently works in the swine industry. Let's give Derek a big round of applause and thank him for coming out in this heat and judging our goats for us today.
Really good pair of them, and honestly, I think it's a little closer than maybe it looks ringside. I think both of them, in terms of their skeleton, in my opinion, need to be redesigned off of both ends of their skeleton, but it's for different reasons, and we'll get into that. But man, I think it's hard to deny just the extra feature, the presence, and just the style and eye appeal that the young man's doe here has. I think that one, if you step in behind him, is easily the biggest out of her pin set. She's easily the best and the roundest in terms of her rib cage. She handles so square and so fresh out of the backside of her shoulder. She's blown apart yet still elevated up through her chest floor. Like I said, I don't know if her structure is perfect. I read her hip just a nickel short. I read her shoulder just a little bit coarser down there as we work into her heart and into her chest. I wish if we could change both of those things, then man, I'd absolutely be in love with that one. But regardless, I do think she has some pieces that are absolutely undeniable in this particular class. Young lady that's going to be in two, man, I think that one has some really good pieces as well. To me, if we start up front, that one's a little bit better, and the angle to her shoulder, she's laid in just a nickel smoother right there at the point of her shoulder as she comes back into her forerib. She's a little bit better in the way her head and neck come out of the top side of her shoulder. I think as we work down on that one, I don't find as much of just uniqueness. She's a little bit closed up about her knee. She's not as big about her arm. Work to her rear part of her skeleton. While I think she's maybe just a little longer hip than her class winner, she still doesn't want to get out and take a long, comfortable kind of a stride. She gets just a little tied up, not wanting to really get out and flex. Just need to see her probably come a nickel more opened up, just a little bit more powerful to rival kind of all those extras that our class winner has. Young lady that's going to be in three, super good in maternal. Soft about her body shape, really good about her head and neck. I think it lays into her shoulder appropriately. In relation to the two that beat her, she's not quite as stylish from the side. She's not as good in the shape to her chest. She's not as good right there behind her shoulder. Need to give that one just a nickel more power, make her just a little bit wider, more explosive out of her hip. Similar story here comes next. Awesome in terms of her shoulder shape, at least at the point of her shoulder. Really good in terms of her angulation off of either end of her skeleton. I can't get that one to balance up good enough for me. She'll break right there behind her shoulder. It highlights her forerib, and there not being enough right there. Need to make her just a little bit bolder right there out of the backside of her rack. Make her just a little bit rounder as we work into her forerib and progress back into her mid body. But I do think her structure is good. I do think her body shape is soft, offers a maternal kind of a look. Man, the lady in 5, I think, has a doe that has so much promise and future. I think the building blocks of that one are here. We just need to allow that one time to continue to mature, because I like her feature. I think the angles to her skeleton are built very, very appropriately. She's just not soft enough in terms of her center body. She's just not powerful enough yet today. But I do love her eye appeal. I think her skeleton is very, very good. A black-headed one probably has a little bit more body shape out here, probably touches just a little bit wider than the one that beats her. I read her just a little bit plainer through her head and neck, a little bit plainer through the shape of her shoulder. Take her down low. She probably needs more bone, probably needs more feature, but soft and maternal, good about her body shape. I think her structure's fine. Just need to make her a little bit more eye-appealing. Similar story next. Soft-made maternal does that are good in their body shape. Thought this one was plenty fat for this stage in the game. She touches very fat right there over her body wall. She's a little bit plainer through the base of her chest. She's a little thicker about her neck. Just need to freshen that one up, and we can start to move her up the line. Start to work into these next ones as we come down. Really stylish doe from the side. She's not quite powerful enough for me. Another one that needs more center body. Our solid red one is good from the side and really good about her top line. She's too closed up through the base of her skeleton. We need to pry apart her chest, lay in just a little bit more power into that doe, and then kind of our dapple that rounds out the class. Obviously giving up some just in terms of maturity. I do think her structure is pretty good. Still don't see that one balancing quite good enough for me. Obviously, we need to see just a little bit more power in that doe as well. Awesome class. Let's go ahead and give all of them a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. Results of that last class. First in a purple went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers. Second in a purple went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. Third in a blue went to Brielle Robertson of the Line Creek Limelights. Fourth in a blue went to Kenna Robertson of the Line Creek Limelights. Fifth in a blue went to Gabby Robertson of the Mid-Prairie FFA. Sixth in a blue went to Austin Black of the Horse and Pony Club. Seventh in a blue went to Austin Black of the Horse and Pony Club. Eighth in a blue went to Cooper Schneider of the Riverside Ramblers. Ninth in a blue went to Chloe Sexton of the Highland FFA. And 10th in a blue went to Teague Pepper of the Washington FFA. From the top down, it reads 10, 4, 8, 2, 1, 9, 6, 7, 5, 3. In the ring now is our second class of junior breeding meat does, again born August 1st, 2023 to May 15th, 2024. We'd like to give a big thank you to KCTC for their generous gift of live streaming all of the livestock shows this week. That link is listed on the front of your show programs, so you can tune in, or if you got loved ones at home, they can tune into the Goat Show today. If you want to watch any of the other livestock shows later this week, or even rewatch this Goat Show today later on after the fair is long over, you can go to the KCTC YouTube channel and watch those live streams, or rewatch any previous livestock show at the 2024 Washington County Fair. We greatly appreciate the support of KCTC and their support of the Washington County Fair, so thank you to them for live streaming all of our shows.
Awesome pair of them up top, and like we had in the last class, I think there's bits and pieces of their skeletons that I wish we combined and can make one that I think is truly very, very good. The one that I'm going to start with at the stand offers more continuation through her head and neck. She's better in the way she comes back into the top part of her rack. She's better in the smoothness to her shoulder. She draws back leveler out through her hip, and then you actually step in behind them. She's the bigger pinned one. She's the stouter boned one. She's the bigger forearmed one. I think in motion, while maybe we could adjust the angle to her shoulder, we could give her just a little bit more flex to her hind leg, that one still gets out and maintains that type of eye appeal. She stays better through the elevation through her chest. She stays leveler down her spine. Like I said, we can maybe change the angles to her skeleton ever so slightly, but she holds her top line better. She stays just a little bit more collected in motion. Bar none, the big backed one is laying here in two. And if you want to single source them on power, single source them on top side shape, she's the one you absolutely have to land on because there's so much spread on the top side of her skeleton. She's so round and athletic in terms of her body shape. She's big as you step in behind her and good from that regard. I guess for me, when we set that one in motion, I can get a little bit more critical of her. She's a little thicker about her neck. She'll drop her chest forward or get a little bit higher right there out of her grow bone or back into her hip, take her down low, and I just don't read her big enough footed and stout enough featured to match the type of power that we have on the top side of her skeleton. I think that's an awesome doe that's got a ton of power. She can maybe touch just a little bit trimmer right there over her body wall, but that's getting awfully critical of one that I think is very good. Different type of mold comes here next. A young man's doe is super elegant up front. Has some width through her chest, yet still sends her head and neck so high out of the top side of her shoulder. I think she draws back good in terms of her center body. I didn't read her powerful enough when you step in behind her. She's a little rounder out of her hip. She doesn't have that same just type of explosion in terms of muscularity that the two in front of her do. But soft and maternal, really elegant up front. I think her structure is very good. Stout featured one comes next, and so big about her forearm, so big about her foot size. She's a nickel plane for me, a little deeper through the base of her chest, a little thicker about her neck. I don't see that one handling quite as fresh and quite as hard as some of those in front of her in this class. But man, I love what that one represents in terms of feature, in terms of just bone and having some density. Need to make her just a little bit better balance for me. First impression of the next one says there's a lot of things to like. Really slim about her neck. I think it comes into her shoulder very naturally. She's got a very natural head carriage through her front 1/3. Set your hands on her. She's not quite as bold as she looks. You end up working through quite a bit of hair. I need to see her just a little bit more genuine in terms of her spread, in terms of her body shape. But I do think that one's got some neat pieces just from a design and a balance standpoint. Just need to see that one with a little bit more genuine power. Real soft-bodied one comes here next. A little plain for me. I need to see that one balance a little better through her front 1/3. Need to see her design just a little bit better in the angle to her shoulder. Moderate one comes here next. That's really good in terms of her spread up high. Really good in terms of the width that she has out through her hip. Need to see that one balance a little better as well. We need to have that one's head and neck come just a little bit better on the top side of her shoulder. Then round out the class with one that has some extension, has some look from the side. She's the frailest one in class. She doesn't have nearly enough power for me, but I do think her build is good. I do think her design is really good. Let's go ahead and congratulate all of them, please.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. First in that class, receiving a purple, went to Braden Clow of Washington FFA. Second, receiving a purple, went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. Third, receiving a blue, went to Hunter Robertson of the Line Creek Livewires. Fourth, receiving a blue, went to Bryn Litweiler of the Line Creek Limelights. Fifth and a blue went to Gracie Hirschberger of the Line Creek Livewires. Sixth and a blue went to Cooper Schneider of the Riverside Ramblers. And seventh with a blue went to Andy Smothers of Green Acres. And eighth, receiving a blue, went to Hattie Longbine of the Franklin Cubs. From the top down, it reads 5, 7, 2, 1, 8, 6, 3, 4. Again, congratulations to those exhibitors. In the ring now is our third and final class of junior breeding meat does born August 1st, 2023 to May 15th, 2024. After this class, we will select your champion and reserve junior breeding doe.
everyone. My name is Jade Sheets, and I am the 17-year-old daughter of Brad and Lynn Sheets. I will be a senior this year at Washington High School, where I am involved in 4-H, FFA, County Council, National Honor Society, Silver Cord, and volleyball. I'm the queen.
Sure. Hello, my name is Kensington Miller. I am the 16-year-old daughter of Brenda and Kevin Miller of Wellman. This fall, I will be a senior at Mid-Prairie High School. Some of my involvements include Silver Cord, National Honor Society, Student Leadership Team, volleyball, Big Hawk, Little Hawk mentoring, peer mentoring, Family Career and Community Leaders of America, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and the Lower Deer Creek Youth Group. And I am your 2024 Princess or First Runner-Up.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya Murphy. I'm the 17-year-old daughter of Marcy and Michael Murphy. I'm going to be a senior at Washington this fall. I'm involved in 4-H, County Council, National Honor Society, Silver Cord, volleyball, and soccer. My future plans after graduating high school are to attend an undecided college to major in biology and then move on to get my license in occupational therapy. I hope y'all have a good fair week. I'm Miss Congeniality.
So I'll give a big round of applause for our 2024 Washington County Fair royalty.
Pretty logical class winner here for me. I mentioned it before, I'm big on first impressions, and I think the young ladies, when that one rounded the corner, I think deemed herself class winner pretty easy. Very good in terms of her chest. She's elegant about her head and neck, yet still comes back and she's dimensional. She's good in terms of her body shape. She's good in terms of her lower body progression and how she transitions from her chest back into her flank. I think she gets out and handles herself appropriately, and then for me, I don't like big does getting fat. I think she handles very, very appropriately. I think that's just a logical place to start. Does get substantially closer as we work down the line. To me, the young man that's going to be in second most closely resembles our class winner just in terms of skeletal width, in terms of dimension, in terms of robustness. I think that one's good in terms of her rib. I think that one's good in terms of her dimension and width as you step in behind her. She's not as good from the side. She'll break right behind her shoulder. She's not as neat and tidy about her head and neck. To work her any higher, I got to see her just a little bit leveler, just a little bit more exotic about her look up front. Really stout one in terms of her handle quality comes here next. Like that one's head shape. I think she's good in the way her head and neck come out of the top side of her shoulder. Take her down to the ground. I don't read her quite wide enough. And I need to see her spread more through the base of her chest. I need to see her just a little bit bigger out of her hip. But I do think that one has some breeding pieces because she's so fundamentally good in terms of her skeleton, in terms of her body shape. Just need to see her a little bit wider. Red one kind of comes here next, and I think the longer she the longer you study her, the better she kind of grows on you. She's good in terms of her look. She's good in terms of her feature. I think her skeleton gets out and she's comfortable and mobile. She maybe just doesn't have any of the exciting pieces as the ones in front of her. She doesn't handle quite as hard. She doesn't handle just as shapely and dimensional on the top side of her skeleton. Just very, very fundamental, but probably doesn't have enough uniqueness to her to work her any higher. Stout-featured, heavy-muscled one comes here next. I think she's a little coarser in the angle to her shoulder. I think she's just a little coarser in general. Got to redesign that one in the front 1/3 of her body. Real soft, refined kind of a doe comes here next. That's maternal in her look from her side. Need to see that one come with just a little bit more power. Need to see that one just a little bit more dimensional at the ground and maybe wider at the ground. Then round out the class with kind of a paint doe. I think has some extension up front, but in my opinion, probably the frailest one, probably the narrowest one in this particular class. Let's go ahead and congratulate all of those exhibitors.
Cal here, and I'm going to talk about KCTC's beefy broadband speeds. You can feast on the ultimate security experience. Monitor from anywhere, deter crime, and save money. KCTC offers a grade A premium menu of solutions, keeping you online, secured, and giving you the meat sweats. Plus, all new customers are entered to win a half a hog or a beef bundle. Don't stew on it. Visit kctc.net/beefybroadband.
Enna Blue went to Hadley Lichty of Crooked Creek. 6th Enna Blue went to Aiden Anderson of the Line Creek Livewires. And 7th Enna Blue went to Aiden Anderson of the Line Creek Livewires. From the top down, it reads 5, 6, 3, 7, 4, 1, 2. In the ring now is our champion junior breeding doe drive out of Class 1. First went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers, and second went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. Out of the second class of junior breeding does, first went to Braden Clow of Washington FFA, and second went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. And out of our third class of junior breeding meat does, first went to Miley Hirschberger, and second went to Cole Troyer. We will be choosing a top 5 out of, if we can, out of each of these drives to come back for our grand champion overall breeding meat doe.
I think our doe show, or at least our junior does, have been very, very good. I think our class winners closest to me represent extremely high quality females that are good in terms of just feet and legs, good in terms of base width, and then they maybe take the extras a little bit more, or at least to the extreme a little bit more. They've got some more feature. They're maybe just a little bit more stylish from the side. I do think, that being said, there is one out here that's just so good in terms of her balance from the side. I think she's got extremely unique pieces when you build them that kind of shallow about their chest floor and unique about their lower body, yet still make them that wide and opened up underneath. Man, we're awesome, making some awesomely just fun ones to look at. I'll set the microphone down, I'll go get you a champion, and then we'll start moving some stuff around for reserve. But let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause. Congratulations to our junior breeding doe exhibitors. Champion junior breeding meat doe receiving a trophy sponsored by Jason and Catherine Searin went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers out of the first class of junior does. Our reserve champion junior doe went to Miley Hirschberger of the Lime Creek Livewires out of the third class of junior does. Third went to Braden Clow of the Washington FFA out of the second class of junior does. Fourth went to Callie Brink out of the Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers, out of the first class of junior does.
And fifth also went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers out of the second class of junior does. Congratulations to all of our junior doe exhibitors. In the ring now, we have our first class of yearling breeding meat does. These does were born anywhere from July 31st, 2022 to July 31st, 2023. Many hands make light work to pack up and put away the fair. Fair cleanup begins at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, so if you'd like to come help pick up the fair at the end of the week, please sign up in the extension office. All help is greatly appreciated. We have printed more show programs up at the announcer's stand. So if you'd like additional show programs, they're up here at the announcer's stand.
Work into these older does, and I mentioned it before in kind of our last class of junior does. I think handle quality and just freshness is so hard to get in these bigger does because we continue to feed them and we think, man, their body shape is so good and they piece together so awesome from the side, but with that comes so much just fat cover right over their rib cage, and ultimately that's what dictates this pair in my particular mind. Young man to my left is just fresher. She's better right there over her body wall. She's better through the base of her chest. She's neater on the top side of her skeleton. Set your hands on them. She's substantially fresher right there in terms of her rack. She touches harder right there over her loin edge and back in behind her. I do think that one has some width and dimension, especially out through her hip. I do think she's wider pinned than probably our bigger doe is. You know, I don't know if I love her from the side. We can make her a little bit neater up front. We can maybe change the way she progresses back into her hip and out through her tail. But nonetheless, that's the fresh one. That's what I'm going to stand for in these older, more mature classes. Really, really dimensional one comes here next, and tons of width, tons of dimension at the surface. She's big and wide through her chest floor. I think that one probably does tie better down her spine and out through her hip. For me, she's too fat. So I got to make her fresher in terms of her handle quality right there over her forerib. Need to make her a little neater through her throat and down there through the base of her chest. Just got to peel back the cover on that one. But she's stout featured. She's bold, dimensional. She's done all those things really, really well. For me, I got to have her fresher. The fresher option of the pair probably does come here next. This one's a little longer and more extended, but unfortunately we maybe sacrificed too much in terms of body shape here. She's a little longer about her blade. She's a little bit straighter in the angle to her shoulder. That one does need to have more capacity and fill down through her center body. I still think she balances up and is better in terms of her front end extension than the doe that we have in 4. This one's soft made. This one's maternal about her center body. She's a little plain and generic in her appearance for me. I need to make her a little better up front. Need to balance her just a little bit better from the side. Then round out the class with one that I think is so good in terms of extension. She's so good in terms of her levelness of spine, her levelness of hip. She needs to have a little bit more body. She needs to be just a little bit wider made. But man, that one's got a good profile. She's got a very, very good silhouette from the side. Let's go ahead and give all of our exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. First, this class is split between 2 pages. So first, receiving a purple went to Teague Pepper of the Washington FFA. Second, receiving a purple on the top of the next page is Austin Black of the Horse and Pony Club. Third, receiving a blue went to Kinsley Kiefer of the Mid-Prairie FFA. Fourth, receiving a blue went to William Longbine of the Franklin Cubs. And fifth, receiving a blue went to Chase Robinson of the Highland FFA. Reading from the top down, it goes 5, 1, 4, 3, flip the page, 2. In the ring now is our second class of yearling breeding meat does born July 31st, 2022 to July 31st, 2023.
I think a pretty routine class of 4, in my opinion. If we want to prioritize width, we want to prioritize having some dimension, yet still focus on balance from the side and trying to keep them as fresh as we can. This is the lineup we have to land on. A young man that starts, I think, is pretty good. That one's opened up through the base of her chest. She's really, really good in terms of her forerib. She explodes back into kind of her mid-body, yet we've still maintained maintained kind of that lower body progression in relation to our doe that's in 2. She's substantially better through the base of her chest. She's substantially better at how she comes out of the top side with her head carriage and the way that her head and neck come out of the top side of her skeleton. Personally, I'd like to see her maybe just a little bit leveler out of her hip. We'll duck our pins and just get a little bit rounder out of there as we set her in motion. But regardless, she still handles this class pretty easily. Really, really bold one comes here next. And extremely stout about her skull, extremely stout just about her forearm and her feature up front. I think that one is wide-chested. I think she's really bold through her center cavity and through her rib cage. For me, she's a little plain-fronted, and for how powerful we are in the front 2/3 of her body, I actually don't read her quite as powerful out of her hip. She'll collapse and funnel down to the base of her skeleton ever so slightly. Need to see that one just a little bit more genuine as we step in behind them. Really, really soft-made kind of a paint doe comes here next. Center body and that kind of lower body progression I think is so good. She is a little bit better in her chest and how shallow it is and how she stays kind of tidy and tucked up through her chest floor in comparison to the doe in 2. She's not quite as powerful though. She's a little bit more closed up. She's a little bit weaker right there behind her shoulder. Need to give that one just a shot of just genuine power, genuine muscularity, and then we can work her up. Completely different kind of a doe comes here next. Love that one's extension. Love that one's kind of a natural head carriage and presentation up front. She's the lightest muscled one in this class. She's the narrowest made one in this particular class. If we're gonna sacrifice that much power, I gotta have them perfect in terms of their balance from the side. She still gets a little easy in her spine and rounder out of her hip. I gotta have her come with more power, or I gotta have her perfect from the side. But I still think that one's got some breeding pieces in terms of extension. Let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. First, receiving a purple went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres. Second, with a purple, went to Bria Ropp of Green Acres. Third, receiving a blue, went to Austin Black of the Horse and Pony Club. And fourth, receiving a blue, went to Piper Malichki of Green Acres. From the top down, it reads 4, 2, 1, 3. In the ring now, we have our third class of yearling breeding neat does, born July 31st, 2022 to July 31st, 2023. attention everyone on the fairgrounds with the pending derecho that is supposed to hit eastern Iowa later this evening. All evening activities at the fair have been canceled. There's no tractor pull tonight. And the Fair Board has asked that as soon as possible following the goat show, that if you could leave the fairgrounds, including if you are staying in campers, please leave the fairgrounds. We want everyone to stay as safe as possible with the pending weather that we are supposed to have. Again, at the conclusion of the goat show, if you're not needed on the fairgrounds anymore, and if you have already made sure to feed and water your livestock, please leave the fairgrounds and get to safety. Again, there's no grandstand activity tonight. That has been canceled. And everyone, please stay safe.
Pair of really good does up front. To me, they both embody the right type of body shape. They both come with the right type of skeleton. So then you step back and say, which one hits you just a little bit harder from the side? To me, it's the young ladies in the center of the ring. Natural head carriage and continuation of that doe, I think, is so good. The way her head and neck come so high out of the top side of her shoulder. She draws back good out through her hip. Take her to the ground. That one's still opened up. That one's still pliable about her rib cage. I just think that's a very good female that still gets out and moves with a ton of comfort to go ahead and start. Admittedly, she probably needs to be leaner. That's what the young man in 2 has the advantage in, is that one touches just a little bit better over her body wall. She's probably just a little bit bigger in terms of her upper pin set. For me, she gets a little plainer through the front 1/3 of her body. She's a little deeper about her chest. She's not quite as unique about her head and neck and that kind of front 1/3 assembly as our class winner, but still very bold and dimensional. I thought at the ground the doe in second was naturally just a little bit wider than our red doe here. I think our red doe's got good kind of turn to her center rib. I don't think she's quite as opened up through the base of her skeleton. In motion, that one will get just a little bit tighter about her hock, and I need to see that one moved up and a little bit freer, more flexible about her hind leg. Love some things about the doe here in 4, and when they're walking, that one kind of sorts herself and just balances a little bit better. For me, she's too fat, and I got to see her fresher in terms of her shape. I need to see that one just a little bit stouter in terms of her feature. Really stout featured one comes here next. Big in her forearm, big in terms of her foot size. Thought she was another one, in my opinion, that's plenty fat. Stepping behind them, that one needs to be bigger and wider out of her pin set to match the type of power she has to the front 1/3 of her body. Awesome class. Let's go ahead and congratulate all of them.
Results from our last class. First, receiving a purple went to Brielle Robertson of the Lime Creek Limelights. Second, receiving a purple went to Ryder Bidito of the Franklin Cubs. Third, receiving a blue went to Isabel Litweiler of the Lime Creek Limelights. Fourth, receiving a blue went to Izzy Kalupa of the 76 Progressives. And fifth, receiving a blue went to Hayden Litweiler of the Lime Creek Limelights. From the top down, it reads 3, 5, 2, 4, 1. In the ring now is our last class of yearling breeding does born July 31st, 2022 to July 31st, 2023. After this class, we will have our champion drive to select our champion and reserve yearling breeding meat doe. Can I get a fair board member to come to the announcer stand, please? Again, can I get a fair board member to come to the announcer stand, please?
Maybe cut just a little bit different than how I prefer them, just in terms of feature, in terms of power. But if we're going to stick to freshness, the solid black one absolutely has to start. She's the best in kind of that length and extension up front. She's the best in the angle to her shoulder. She's the best in terms of shallowness through her chest floor. I still think she has plenty in terms of rib and plenty in terms of spread up high. Is she just as stout in her feature as the other ones? Probably not. But because of it, I do think we've been able to maintain her skeleton just a little bit longer. She's easily the freshest one that in my mind needs to start. Extremely similar does come here next in 2 and 3. In my opinion, both of them are a little fat. Wish we could peel them back just a little bit in terms of their cover. I think it's starting to impact both of their skeletons. We're starting to paddle out of our front shoulder, get just a little bit wider, and the way we come and we track out of our front 1/3. I do think the one that's going to land in second, though, does stay just a little bit leveler in terms of her spine. I think in motion, that one's got the more comfortable hind leg that plants with just a little bit more flexibility, just a little bit more cushion. Round out the class, and young man, that one is extremely stout. She's big in terms of her forearm. She's huge in terms of her chest floor. Her hind leg is probably the biggest one that we've seen all day. I love those things about her. I gotta see that one a little bit fresher. Because of it, we've separated right there in terms of her shoulder. And in motion, she's just quite not flexible enough for me. I gotta see her move just a little bit more comfortably, but I love her power, I love her feature. I think she's gonna be an awesome doe for you down the road. Let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. Results from the last class. First in a purple went to Kenna Robertson of the Lime Creek Limelights. Second in a purple went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres. And third with a blue went to Braxton Ropp of Green Acres. From the top down, results of that last class went 1, 2, 3. In the ring now is our champion drive for yearling breeding yearly breeding meat does. Out of the first class, first went to Teague Pepper of Washington FFA, and second went to Austin Black of Horse and Pony Club. Out of the second class, first went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres, and second went to Bria Ropp of Green Acres. Out of the third class, first went to Brielle Robertson of the Lime Creek Limelights, and second went to Ryder Bidito of the Franklin Cubs. And out of that last class, first went to Kenna Robertson of the Lime Creek Limelights, and second went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres. Let's give all of our yearly breeding meat doe exhibitors a round of applause.
Step into that next division of does, and I think our quality is still very, very good. There's a couple out here in my mind that maybe just balance up a little bit neater. They still come with those intangibles of power, muscularity that I like, and yet we've still been able to put them in a more attractive picture from the side. I'll go show your champion and then shake out the top 5. Let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. Our champion yearling breeding meat doe receiving a trophy sponsored by Mike and Bev Black went to Brielle Robertson out of our third class of yearling does. Our reserve champion out of the second class went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres. Third came out of our third class, went to Ryder Bidito of Franklin Cubs. Fourth came out of our second class, went to Bria Ropp of Green Acres. And fifth out of our first class went to Teague Pepper of the Washington FFA. Congratulations to all of our yearling meat doe exhibitors. Coming into the ring now is our final class of breeding does. It is our senior breeding meat does born anytime before July 31st, 2022. At the conclusion of this class, we will have our overall grand champion breeding doe drive, where we will select our top 5 breeding does. While we're waiting for one more goat, I know I just said this, but as a reminder to everyone, because of the impending weather that we are supposed to have, all activities on the Washington County Fairgrounds will be canceled the rest of the day. We will roll through the goat show until we are done safely, if we can. We highly encourage all the general public and 4-H and FFA families who are no longer participating in the goat show to leave the grounds no later than 5 o'clock. Fair Board representatives will remain on the grounds throughout the night to watch over all the projects. Again, the tractor pull scheduled for 7 o'clock in the grandstands will be canceled and will not be rescheduled. Please follow the Washington County Fair Facebook page for updates on the rest of the Monday events as they are potentially rescheduled for the rest of the week.
nice place to start and I guess be your champion senior doe. Young lady to my far right is going to go ahead and win the best in this class in terms of feature and bone and having some density. I think that one still balances up awfully nicely. That one handles with the most amount of muscle as well. The next best one, just in terms of pattern, in terms of design, is the young lady that's in the middle of them. She's going to go ahead and be second. Long and extended up front. I think that one's center body is dimensional and bold. She's maybe not quite as opened up as our class winner. She doesn't have the same amount of shape and muscularity working out of her back. But I still think that one's pattern and design is a little bit better than what's going to land in 3 here. Probably has the advantage in terms of spread up high. Better just in terms of her body shape. Take her down low. I thought she was the flat, frail one that needs to be opened up, needs to be made just a little bit stouter about her feature. Awesome trio of does there. Let's go ahead and congratulate all them.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. Our champion senior breeding meat doe receiving a purple and a trophy. A trophy sponsored by Mike and Bev Black went to Paige Milichki of Green Acres. Second and reserve senior breeding meat doe receiving a purple went to Chloe Sexton of the Highland FFA. And third receiving a blue went to Ryan Pepper of the Washington FFA. From the top down, it reads 3, 2, 1. Coming into the ring now is our grand champion overall breeding doe class, where we will select a top 5. From the junior breeding meat doe division, champion came out of the first class of junior does. It went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers. Reserve came out of the third class of junior does. Went to Miley Hirschberger of the Lime Creek Live Wires. Third came out of the second class of junior does. Went to Braden Clow of the Washington FFA. Fourth came out of the first class of junior does. Went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. And fifth, your fifth place junior breeding meat doe came out of the second class of junior does, went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. From our yearling division, our champion yearling breeding meat doe went to Brielle Robertson of the Lime Creek Limelights from the third class of yearling does. Our reserve came from the second class, went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres. Third came out of the third class, went to Ryder Vidito of the Franklin Cubs. Fourth came out of the second class, went to Bria Rock of Green Acres. And fifth came out of the first class of yearling does, went to Teague Pepper of the Washington FFA. And out of our senior class of breeding meat does, our champion went to Paige Milichki of Green Acres, and our reserve went to Chloe Sexton. As our judge picks our top 5, let's give all of our breeding meat doe exhibitors a huge round of applause.
Told myself coming into this where I thought I could be brief and try to go through the show a little bit faster, I would. Originally, I was thinking it was because of the heat. Now it's because we've got a big storm coming. So I'm a terrible poker player. I'm pretty bad at showing my cards. I will go show you the 5 that I like the best. I do think we've had an awesome breeding doe drive. I'm very, very pleased with the quality out here. There's one I think is just very, very elite and next level in some of the things that she's some of the things that she's able to put together. I'll set the microphone down, get you a champion, then we'll work through a top 5. If we could please, let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our champion overall breeding meat does. All 5 of our top 5 came out of our junior division. Our grand champion breeding meat doe went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers. He will receive a trophy sponsored by Mike and Bev Black, as well as a banner sponsored by Black Diamond Boar Goats, as well as an invitation to the Southeast Iowa Showdown and the Southeast Iowa Final Drive. Our reserve overall breeding meat doe went to Miley Hirschberger of the Lime Creek Live Wires. She'll receive a trophy sponsored by Farmers Elevator and Berlin Yoder, as well as a banner sponsored by Black Diamond Boar Goats. Our third overall breeding meat doe went to Braden Clow of the Washington FFA. He will receive a banner sponsored by KDK Sales. Fourth overall went to Callie Rink of the Washington Hustlers. She will receive a banner sponsored by KDK Sales. And fifth also went to Callie Rink of the Washington Hustlers, receiving a banner sponsored by KDK Sales. Congratulations to all of our breeding meat doe exhibitors. In the ring now is our first class of commercial meat goat wether or does, weighing 35 to 52 pounds. In the ring, we do have another one of our graduating seniors, Mr. Ashton Thomas of the Dutch Creek Flyers. Ashton would have been a part of the class of 2024 4-H seniors who graduated in May, and he's wearing one of the gray polos sponsored by Whittoff Farm Supply. Washington County 4-H and all of us involved in the GOAT Show would like to congratulate Ashton on his recent graduation and thank him and his family for all the years working with us at the Washington County Fair GOAT Show. Congratulations, Ashton. Let's give Ashton a big round of applause. We hope you can join us again at the Washington County Fair on Thursday at the Lion Stage at 5 p.m. for a special Hall of Fame recognition, State Fair awards, and the Fair Favorite Bucket of Junk auction. Sculptures all started as identical buckets of junk and were then created by area youth, family, and businesses into these sculptures. They are on display in the commercial exhibiting building and will be up for auction on Thursday, immediately following the awards at 5 p.m. All proceeds will go to support Washington County 4-H enrollment fees, which currently makes 4-H free for all 406 members and 106 Clover kids.
Nice way to go ahead and kick off our market show. We're going to prioritize width. We're going to prioritize some feature. We're going to prioritize muscularity as we start to work through these. The one that does that the best in this particular class is the young man to my right. Set your hands on him. That guy's the best right there out of his rack. He's the best as you progress down his spine and into his loin edge. You take him to the ground. He's naturally the widest made one at the surface. He could probably balance up a little bit better from the side, but that's the muscular one that we're going to go ahead and start in this first class of lightweight wethers. Black-headed one comes next, and he's probably his rival just in terms of muscle expression. That guy touches very, very good. I don't read him as wide at the ground. He'll close up through the base of his chest. He's not quite as good right there in the turn to his forerib and the way he comes back into his mid-body. Big thing for me, he's a little coarse in his shoulder. I got to redesign how he's built up front ever so slightly. But I like his handle quality. I like his muscle expression. Stout one to kind of be in second there. Work into two of them next that are giving up some in terms of feature. They're giving up some just in terms of overall thickness. The one that's better in terms of design, the one that's better in terms of his silhouette from the side is the young man in 3. That one draws back really good down his spine. He's really good in terms of his head and neck. Like I said, got to have more power in that one. Similar story to the paint that rounds out the class. Long and extended about his head and neck. He's the flat, narrow one in this lineup that just needs to have a little bit more stoutness and power. Awesome pair of them to go ahead and kick off our market drive. Let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Results from our first class of commercial meat goats. First with a purple went to Niall Longbine from the Franklin Cubs. Second with a purple went to Eli Conrad from the Lime Creek Livewires. Third in a purple went to third in a blue went to Ashton Thomas of the Dutch Creek Flyers, and fourth in a blue went to Brett McDowell of the Mid-Prairie FFA. Coming into the ring now is our second class of commercial meat goats, weighing 54 to 59 pounds. Immediately following the goat show today, we do still plan on continuing with our Clover Kid Goat Show. Clover Kid participants have been mentored by goat showmen to learn more about the goat species. Please stick around safely and see the next generation getting involved in the goat department. Clover Kid participants in this class should get their show number from the extension office. Attention for those around ringside, if you are interested in a show program or a rate of gain program, Miss Kenzie Miller, our first runner-up, is going around the ring passing out show programs and the champions in our rate of gain. So if you want one of those, just stop her.
I think the young ladies, whether needs to start, and if you can look past that guy's kind of attitude out here and uncooperation or unwillingness to cooperate anyway, he's easily the best designed one. When that guy actually props up and drives, he's the best in terms of his head carriage. He's the best in terms of shallowness of chest floor and how we build him from there back. You set your hands on him. He's still a muscular goat that balances. Like I said, if he cooperates, he wins for fun. He's just kind of being hard to manage out here is probably the best way to put it. But I do think that's a quality goat that needs to start. Thick, muscular one comes here next. Extremely bold out of the backside of his cage. Extremely round and athletic, kind of down there into his forerib and back into his center body. In relation to our class winner, he's not built good enough. He's too straight and coarse. The angle to his shoulder, he's too straight about his hind leg. Got to give his angles just a little bit more comfort to allow him to get out and move with just a little bit more authority out here. But I love that guy's feature. I love his muscularity. Kind of a in-betweener type of a goat here next. I think he's got some body shape. I think he's got some spread up high. He's not wanting to cooperate for that young man, and he'll kind of break apart right there behind his shoulder. I do think in motion that one kind of gathers himself and looks just a little bit better. In relation to the couple in front of him, he's not wide enough through his chest. He's not wide enough at the ground. Just need to give him a shot more genuine power and skeletal width at the surface, because I do think he's got some good pieces. A good balanced one comes here next, and I think draws back level about his spine. He's level out through his hip. He gets a little flatter into his forerib. He's a little plainer through his front 1/3, but I do think he's level about his spine. I do think he has some spread. There's more genuine muscle in that goat versus the one that comes next. First impression, man, I like this thing a lot because he's long and extended. He's relatively big about his bone work. Set your hands on him. He's a little too flat for me. I need to see his muscularity a little bit more upstanding. I need to see him a little bit wider and bolder out of his hip. If we can lay just a shot more power on him, he works up rather quickly in this class. I think the foundation's there. Just got to keep feeding on that guy. Red one comes here next. Extremely practical, extremely bold about his center body. That one is just a little bit thicker made. He's also probably the plainest one in this class. We need to get that one to balance a little better. We need to make him just a little neater up front through his head and neck, through the base of his shoulder. But I compliment you for having that one good in terms of his thickness, in terms of his body shape. Young Man's Doe rounds out the class. Similar story to a couple that we talked about. Good in terms of design. I think that one's really good in the way she draws back and she's level out through her hip. Take him to the ground. She's the most closed up. She's the narrowest one, and she's the frailest one in this class. Need to make her just a little bit stouter. All in all, very, very good class. Let's go ahead and congratulate all those exhibitors.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. First, receiving a purple went to Gabby Robertson of the Mid-Prairie FFA. Gabby is also one of our 2024 graduating seniors. Second, getting a purple went to Mason Schneider of Green Acres. Third, receiving a blue went to Braxton Ropp of Green Acres. Fourth, receiving a blue went to Brett McDowell of the Mid-Prairie FFA. Fifth, receiving a blue went to Cole Troyer of the Line Creek Livewires. Sixth, receiving a blue went to Niall Longbine of the Franklin Cubs. And seventh, receiving a blue went to Cooper Schneider of the Riverside Ramblers. From the top down, it reads 1, 3, 7, 4, 2, 6, 5. Coming into the ring now is our third class of commercial meat goats, weighing 61 to 67 pounds. You notice all of the white shirts that our 4-Hers wear this week. We'd like to recognize and thank Federation Bank for their sponsorship of the 4-H t-shirts for all of our exhibitors this year. As a reminder, we do plan on moving through the entire goat show until we are completed. However, all activities on the Washington County Fairgrounds the rest of the day have been canceled because of the derecho that is supposed to be coming our way. We highly encourage all general public, 4-H and FFA families who are not participating in the goat show to leave the fairgrounds no later than 5 o'clock this evening. Fair Board representatives will remain on the grounds throughout the night to watch over all of the livestock projects. The tractor pull scheduled in the grandstands tonight will not be rescheduled. Please follow the Washington County Fair Facebook page for updates and for any of the Monday events that will possibly be rescheduled the rest of the week.
Fun pair of them up top here, and if you want to spin that one out right next to them, I'm totally okay with it. To me, both of these goats exemplify power, they exemplify feature, and yet I still think it lays on their skeletons maybe just a little bit differently. If we study them from the side, the one that's better and the way his head and neck come out of his shoulder, he's a little bit late, he's laid in just a little bit neater in the angle to the front 1/3 of his body. That's the young man here. I think that one's natural body progression from his chest back into his flank lays in him a little bit more appropriately. He's a little better in his transition right there through his forearm back into his mid body. Stepping behind him, I don't know if he's as big in his upper pin, but he's definitely deeper down there through his inner leg and his twist. When we send that one out in motion, just got a more comfortable hind leg. I do think the pair is very, very good though, and young lady in 2, that's certainly a wether that you need to be proud of because you've got him dialed in terms of muscularity, you've got him dialed in terms of presentation. He's extremely fresh on his back. He's extremely good right there through his mid-body. I don't see him as good in the way he transitions from his shoulder through his forearm and back into his center rib. We can make him just a little bit bolder there. And then as you step back, I can get a little bit more picky of his balance. He wants to cut up into his flank, and he doesn't offer that same type of look from the side that our class winner does. And then in motion, he gets just a nickel straighter about his hock. But I still think that's an awfully high quality wether to be standing in 2. Awesome design to the 1 and 3, and from the side when that young man gets him set up, I think has some things that we can be very, very appreciative of. His head and neck comes so natural out of the top side of his shoulder. He draws back so level down his spine and out of his hip. He's got some muscle, he just doesn't have the same amount of spread, the same amount of power as what the 2 in front of him do. But I do think in terms of basic build, in terms of balance, that's a very, very high quality one in his own right. Stout featured one that has a little bit more muscle to him comes here next. Soft and bold about his lower rib and good in terms of his mid body. That guy doesn't balance up good enough for me. We're too coarse about our head and neck. We don't transition into our spine nearly good enough. But I like his muscularity. I like how we built some thickness around him. Just need to see that guy balance a little better. Start to work down the line. The one coming next is stout. He's wide. That guy needs to balance a little better for me, especially right there out of the backside of his shoulder. One coming next, young lady does an awesome job of getting that one stuck. He's too narrow and closed up through the base of his skeleton. We need to make that guy wider and stouter, then round out the class with one that's long and extended, has a good kind of a silhouette. He's the flattest and narrowest in this class. Need to give him another shot of just genuine power, but still a very, very good lineup of them. Let's go ahead and congratulate all those exhibitors.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. First, receiving a purple went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers. Second, receiving a purple went to Ava Greiner of the Kyoto FFA. Third, receiving a blue went to Ryder Bidito of the Franklin Cubs. Fourth, receiving a blue went to Alex Conrad of the Line Creek Livewires. Fifth, receiving a blue went to Cameron Ropp of the Green Acres. Sixth, receiving a blue that went to Bria Ropp of Green Acres. And seventh, receiving a blue went to Jace Kalupa of the 76 Progressives. From the top down, it reads 5, 4, 6, 7, 2, 1, 3. In the ring now is our fourth class of commercial meat goats, weighing 70 to 79 pounds. Some of the animals from today's show will be sold at the livestock auction on Friday. Anyone from the community is welcome to come and buy any of our exhibitors' goats. The auction starts at 8:30 a.m. Also, many hands make light work to pack up and put away the fair. Fair cleanup begins at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. Please sign up at the extension office if you would like to help, and all help is greatly appreciated.
Young ladies, black-headed one here wins, and wins easy. Stout, bold, rugged, dimensional. I think all those things apply to that weather from the side. He balances up very, very well. I guess for me, if we're getting critical, as we step in behind him, we can make his hock just a little bit squarer, bring in that rear joint ever so slightly. But man, that's a power goat that's laid in appropriately in the angles to his shoulder. Still touches very, very aggressive. awesome place to start in this class. I think the next best one and the closest one to him, just in terms of body shape, in terms of muscularity, is the young lady that's going to be in 2. Set your hands on them. That one spreads just a ton of dimension up high, wraps really, really good into his forerib and comes back into an awesome kind of a mid-body. In relation to our class winner, he's not as neat through his head and neck. He's not as secure just about his rear pastern. We can make that guy just a little bit stouter about his feature, but I love his mid-body. I love that kind of athletic roundness to his forerib and his cage in general. Awesome one to go ahead and sit here in second. A little bit of a different design in these next couple. We start to get a little longer and more extended. I do think the one that's better in terms of his forerib, that's better in terms of his feature, is the young lady that's here in 3. He doesn't have the same amount of spread and width to the top side of his rack as the 2 in front of him. Need to give him just a shot more power, shot more spread right there. But I do think he's good in terms of his build. Just need to see a shot more muscle up high. Similar story comes here next. Awesome from the side, long and extended up front. Step back to kind of this 3/4 view. He's too flat about his forerib. Stepping behind him, he's too narrow about his pin set. Need to just expand that guy, make him a little bit more rugged and robust throughout just his center cage and center cavity. Love some things about the goat coming here next, and at times I want to say that's a stout featured one that's bold and dimensional about the mid part of his body, and then he's another one that you get from that 3/4 view and you say he's probably too flat in terms of his forerib. Because of it, he doesn't handle hard enough right there out of the backside of his shoulder. Need to expand him in his forerib. That'll give him more spread to his upper back. Set that guy in motion. He gets a little flat in terms of his rear pasture, and I'd like to pick him up there as well. But good and youthful about his head and neck. Has some things about his spine and balance from the side that are good. Need to see more power in that one. Black-headed one comes here next. Soft in terms of his center body, very practical and about his look and about his build. Thought he was kind of plain through the front 1/3 of his body, a little longer about his blade, a little deeper about his chest. He too is another one I think needs to have a shot more just genuine muscularity from front to rear on that goat. Does have just a little bit more hip, does have a little bit more inner leg, and the one that rounds out the class. Study him at the ground though, plenty frail. I need to intensify that guy's feature. Likewise, we need to give him more muscularity right there out of the backside of his shoulder to kind of help him match what he has in behind him. Very good set of goats. Let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Next one is 7. We're getting into some big boys here. Last class is 100 to 117. The last, so we got 3 classes left. 80s, 90s, and 100s. Congratulations to our exhibitors. First, receiving a purple went to Callie Rink of the Washington Hustlers. Second, receiving a purple went to Allie Smothers of Green Acres. Third, receiving a blue went to Hattie Longbine of Franklin Cubs. Fourth, receiving a blue went to Piper Malichki of Green Acres. Fifth, receiving a blue went to Kenna Robertson of the Lime Creek Limelights. Sixth, receiving a blue went to Allie Smothers of Green Acres. And seventh, receiving a blue went to Jace Wiggins of Bows and Bullets. From the top down, it reads 5-7-1, scratch, 4-3-6-2. In the ring now is our 5th class of commercial meat goats, weighing 82 to 89 pounds. Attention everyone, the plan is still to roll through the goat show until we are finished to give our exhibitors the opportunity to show their livestock. We will be keeping track of the radar so that in the event that we are about to get hit with the weather that is predicted, we can all get to safety in a timely manner. However, the rest of the activities on the Washington County Fairgrounds have been canceled for the rest of the day, including the tractor pull that was scheduled for tonight. The tractor pull will not be rescheduled for later this week. We highly encourage anyone in the general public and 4-H and FFA families who are not involved with the goat show today to leave the fairgrounds no later than 5 o'clock this evening. Fair board representatives will remain on the grounds throughout the night to watch over all livestock projects. Please follow the Washington County Fair Facebook page for updates and for updates regarding the weather, and also for updates regarding any of the Monday events that will possibly be rescheduled in the upcoming days. In the ring now, we would like to recognize from the Mid-Prairie FFA, Ms. Gabby Robertson. Gabby is one of our graduating 2024 seniors. Thank you, Gabby, and your family for all of your years of involvement in the goat department at the Washington County Fair. Let's give Gabby a round of applause.
Much like the young lady's goat in the last class, I think this one comes out and again wins for fun. Built how I like them in terms of feature, in terms of chest width. That one handles very, very good up high. Young lady can get him stuck from the side and drive in, and all of his pieces kind of come together. I think that's a very good goat to represent this class that still handles fresh and appropriately. Young man, his doe that's going to go here ahead and be second in this class. Man, there's some things that are really, really good on that one. Back shape is off the charts. Touch and tone is so good out of the backside of that one's rack. When the young man gets her propped up and kind of just lets her balance, I think she has some symmetry. She has some quality of design built into her. Rotate to kind of this 3/4 view. She's another one that needs to be better in terms of her forerib. We can make her just a little bit more dimensional as we step in behind her. But I do think in terms of freshness, in terms of handle, in terms of back shape, that one's very, very good. She has that edge and over the 1 and 2, and at times, man, I love the lower body progression of this one, especially compared to the 1 and 2, because that's kind of that seamless transition from chest back into his flank that draws and captivates your attention. He's good about his top line. I didn't read him as aggressive in his shape, and he touches just a little soft over his body wall. If we can make him a little bit firmer, a little bit more aggressive in kind of his handle quality right there, he starts to work up. Fortunately, I read him just a nickel fat. We got to make that one just a little bit fresher for me. But I like that one, especially when you get him propped and set up. PC kind of a goat comes here next, and if he continues to do the right things, I think his build, at least to the front 2/3 of his body, are very good. Long and extended, good in the angle to his shoulder, draws back so good down his spine and out through his hip. He too's a little flatter in terms of his lower body, gets just a little bit closed up through the base of his chest. Like to pick him up on his rear pasture and make him just a little bit more secure as we work to the rear part of his skeleton. Stout, productive one comes here next. That's big about his forearm, has some muscularity and some dimension. Read him just a little coarser. He's a little thicker about his head and neck. He's plenty coarse and open just about his shoulder. Probably needs to balance a little bit better through the front third. And then you get to his rear third, and I read his hind leg just a little bit straighter. Just has some structural things off of both ends that we need to change about that guy. But has some feature, has some density. Really like those things. Solid red one comes next. Bold and productive about his center body. Really, really practical about his design. Thought he's starting to get a little fat. He touches with just a little bit of cover right there over his ribs and over his body wall. For the amount of mass that he has up high, probably needs more bone and more foot size to kind of match and help him blend in those regards. Round out the class with one long and extended. You do an awesome job of getting that one presented. He draws back good down his spine and out through his hip. Thought he was the frailest one in class. Thought he was the lightest muscled one in class. Just need to give that guy a shot of power, and then I think he can start to work up as well. Fun class of them, though. Let's go ahead and give them all a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of Class 5 of our commercial meat goats. First, receiving a purple went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. Second, receiving a purple went to Teague Pepper of the Washington FFA. Third, receiving a blue went to Paige Milichki of Green Acres. Fourth, receiving a blue went to Gabby Robertson of Mid-Prairie FFA. Fifth, receiving a blue went to William Longbine of the Franklin Cubs. Sixth, receiving a blue went to Evan Greiner of the Dutch Creek Flyers. And seventh, receiving a blue went to Aiden Anderson of the Line Creek Livewires. From the top down, results are 5, 3, 6, 4, 2, 7, 1. In the ring now is Class 6 of commercial meat goats. At the conclusion of our grand overall commercial meat goat drive, we will be announcing our champion rated gain and then starting with senior showmanship. And we will go seniors, intermediates, juniors, followed by the Clover Kids show. Disregard what I just said. We will actually move the Clover Kids show to before senior showmanship. If all of our Clover Kids are here, so those families can get through make sure the Clover Kids have a chance to show their goats. Again, we will be moving the Clover Kids show to before senior showmanship, which means that Clover Kids will be at the conclusion of our grand overall commercial meat goat drive. So we have one more class, and then we have grand drive. Really, really solid weather wins this class, and I think
Certainly going to compete probably in relation to some of our other class winners, like our last two class winners that we talked. Probably handles the class pretty easily in my mind. Stout featured, rugged about his bone work. I think he balances very nicely from the side. Set your hands on him. He's got some spread and yet still transitions very, very good from the side. You know, at times he's kind of just being lazy. He doesn't want to get out, travel. He's getting kind of hot because of it. I don't think he touches quite as hard as he could right there out of the back of his shoulder. And then in motion, he kind of wants to drop his chest and poke his shoulder out ever so slightly. I think part of it's heat. I think part of it's a little bit just natural tendency of that guy being not perfect in the way his head and neck tie into his shoulder. That's being critical of one that I still think is very, very good. Compliments to you, young man. Very good one in second here as well. And I think meat and potatoes kind of a goat. That's good in terms of his feet and legs. That's good in terms of his muscularity. Probably has the advantage in terms of spread right out of the backside of his shoulder when compared to our class winner. I just don't see him as fresh right there over his body wall. He's not quite as attractive out through his hip and his hind leg, and there's just his silhouette from the side maybe isn't as captivating, but I still think that one has a ton of good because he's fundamentally so true and so honest. Pair of them that come here next, very fresh in terms of muscularity. I think they handle with just a ton of muscle, with a ton of spread, still fresh about their, kind of their handle quality. For me, they maybe don't balance up quite as nicely from the side. I do think the 1 and 3 is a little bit longer about his head and neck, transitions just a little bit better through his mid-body and out through his hip. He stands just a notch wider at the ground, but I do read those two extremely, extremely similar. Like I said, 1 and 4 has some muscularity up high. Didn't think he was quite as wide down low. Didn't think he handled his spine just as appropriately. Red one, or predominantly red one, comes here next, much like the young man's in the last class. Awesome in terms of practicality and center body. That one's pretty thick made, just gets a little frailer, needs to be spread at the ground, but I love that one's center body. I love his muscle up high. He's substantially fresher than the one that's going to round out the class. One that rounds out the class, stout featured, good in terms of his body shape, just gets a little light muscled right there out of the back of his shoulder. He's not quite filled in through his forerib and throws off his balance from the side. Need to see that one handle his skeleton, especially his shoulder and the openness on the top side of his skeleton just a little bit better. Awesome class again. Let's go ahead and congratulate all of them.
Congratulations to our exhibitors. Results from Class 6 of our commercial meat goats. First, with a purple, went to Hunter Robertson of the Lion Creek Live Wires. Second, with a purple, went to Paige Malichki of Green Acres. Second, receiving a blue, went to Hadley Lichty of Crooked Creek. Fourth, receiving a blue, went to Hadley Lichty of Crooked Creek. Fifth, receiving a blue, went to Evan Greiner of the Dutch Creek Flyers. And sixth, receiving a blue, went to Isabel Litweiler of the Lime Creek Lime Lights. From the top down, results are 5, 6, 3, 4, 2, 1. In the ring now is Class 7 and our last class of the day, Class 7 of our commercial meat goats. At the conclusion of this class, we will be selecting our top 5 overall market goats. In the ring, we do have one of our 2024 graduating seniors wearing a gray polo sponsored by Woodhoff Farm Supply, Mr. Ashton Thomas of the Dutch Creek Flyers. Congratulations to Ashton on your recent graduation, and thank you to you and your family for all of your years dedicated to the Washington County Fair Goat Show. Let's give Ashton and all of our seniors that exhibited goats today a huge round of applause. as a reminder, I know we just changed it up on you real quick. After this class, we will be selecting our overall market goats, and then we will recognize our champion rated gain, and then start our Clover Kids show. So Clover Kids, if your mentor is not showing in the grand drive, please make sure to find your mentors and get your goats ready.
Class winner here, maybe a little bit more old school in terms of build from the side, in terms of balance. We break a little bit more right behind his shoulder, but if you want to study a true market goat and true power and dimension, he's easily the best in this class. Opens up the best out of the back of his shoulder, naturally progresses to just the biggest hip, so dimensional down through his inner leg, yet still handles his body shape and especially his chest floor the best in this lineup. I think that's a very, very solid, genuine market goat that needs to win. A big heavyweight one comes here next, and we will probably say this about a lot of them, but this guy needs to be fresher. He's too fat over his body wall. He's too deep and plain down through the base of his chest. There's times where that guy balances up and he wants to kind of show himself off and his pattern comes together, but when it comes down to it, he's just not genuine enough from a muscularity standpoint, from a freshness standpoint. If he can do those things and we keep him fresher, he probably works up because his natural balance is just a little bit better from the side. Similar story next. This one's so good in terms of center body. He's good on his feet and legs. Don't see him balancing quite as nicely behind his shoulder. He'll jump up through his grow bone just a little bit. I need to see him blend just a little bit better on the top side of his skeleton. For as big as he is, he probably needs to have a little bit more spread to his back as well. But I still think feet and legs are good. I still think body shape is very good. He's fresher over his body wall and over his rib cage than the red painted up one that's going to be next. Tons of product, tons of width, tons of dimension. Little plain, little frail, a little fat for me. Got to change him in those areas, but I like his thickness. I like his kind of product-oriented kind of a build. Similar story with the run that rounds out the class. Bold and dimensional, practical in terms of his type and kind. Thought he was the fattest one in class. Thought he closed up a little bit as we stepped in behind him. Good class. Let's congratulate those 5 exhibitors.
Congratulations to our exhibitors out of that last class. First with a purple went to Izzy Kalupa of the 76 Progressives. Second receiving a purple went to Isabel Litweiler of the Line Creek Limelights. Third receiving a blue went to Cole Troyer of the Line Creek Live Wires. Fourth receiving a blue went to Ashton Thomas of the Dutch Creek Flyers. And fifth receiving a blue went to Jace Kalupa of the 76 Progressives. From the top down, results are 1, 4, 5, 2, 3. Coming into the ring now is our champion overall market goat drive. In the ring, we have our In the ring, we have, coming from our Dairy Goat Weather class, champion went to Addison Giro of the Highlanders, and reserve went to Sandra Edwards of the Highlanders. Out of our Crossbred Weather class, our champion had gone to Kenzie Miller of the Lime Creek Livewires, and reserve had gone to Olivia Utzinger of the Lime Creek Limelights. Out of Class 1 of our commercial meat goats, whether or doe, first had gone to Niall Longbine, and second went to Eli Conrad. Out of Class 2, first went to Gabby Robertson, and second went to Mason Schneider. Out of Class 3, first had gone to Parker Shalla, second went to Ava Greiner. Out of Class 4, first went to Callie Brink, and second went to Allie Smothers. Out of Class 5, first had gone to Callie Brink, and second went to Teague Pepper. Out of Class 6, first went to Hunter Robertson, and second went to Paige Malichki. And out of our Class 7, first went to Izzy Kalupa, and second went to Isabel Litweiler. So I'll give a big congratulations and round of applause to all of our goat exhibitors today. Attention all Clover kids. Pending your mentor being in the ring currently, please make your way to your mentors, because this will be the first call. You guys will be in a class right after Grand Drive is over. Again, all Clover kids and your mentors, please start lining up outside of the ring in our holding area, because you will be our next class after Grand Drive. I also need in the ring the top 10 rate of gain exhibitors. I just need you as a person. I don't need your animals. Again, if you are one of our top 10 rate of gain exhibitors, please also make your way to the ring. Just yourself, no animals.
First and foremost, we need to put our hands together for all the exhibitors out here and the family members behind them. We've busted, or they've busted their butts to get them out here and get them presented very, very highly. I think all of our class winners out here hit me very, very good. They cover the fundamentals that I like, and yet they still go above and beyond, maybe in terms of feature, maybe in terms of look, maybe in terms of kind of radical shape that they kind of have on the top sides of their skeleton. I think we've had an awesome, awesome show. I'm going to describe a couple of them for you, and in no particular order. They're kind of the four right here directly in front of me. I think the young man's directly in front of me right now. Man, that thing is awesome from the side, and that's how I want to build him in terms of roundness of body, athletic in terms of his cage. I think the posture of his hind leg and the way it drops out of his hip is so, so good. Pound for pound, he's probably the most opened up through the base of his chest. He's probably one of the more powerful ones out through his hip. For me, we're maybe just a little plain through the front part of our neck and the way he wants to kind of set his head and neck out of the top side of his shoulder. But that is a proportional one that is opened up, that is awesome in terms of his handle quality, and still really, really good on his feet and legs. Black-headed one, very, very similar story. Round and athletic in his body shape. I think so, so good in terms of that guy's back spread. His forerib is filled in very, very nicely. He's maybe a little coarser through the point of his shoulder. He's not quite as unique in the way his head and neck come out of the top side of his shoulder. We talked about it in class. He'll push his rear joint and swivel ever so slightly about his rear feet when we step in behind him. But in terms of body shape, in terms of muscularity, man, that one is dialed in so, so good from that regard. Our next class winner comes very good as well, and he kind of handled that class because he was the totals goat that balances up, has some feature, still has some muscularity to the top side of his skeleton. Relative to maybe some of the others, I read him a little deeper through his chest floor. I don't think he's as big about his upper pin set. He's not as wide through his stifle there, but mid body of that one I think is so good. He's got some extension up front that I think when he wants to show balances very nicely. We get to our next class winner. There's pieces of this one I think are good. Big in terms of his bone work, probably the longest about his head and neck, definitely one of the longer ones in terms of length of body. There's times where everything in that one fits together so nicely, and then there's times where maybe we can get just a little bit picky. He's a little flatter about his forerib. I think part of it is maybe because we've got his fill to his center rib and his center body a little overdone, in my opinion, and maybe forces out some of his flaws in terms of forerib, in terms of his hip-loin junction there, where we don't transition just as perfectly. When he wants to get out and walk, he can offer you a nice balanced look from the side, but I think he's maybe just a little bit closed up through his chest floor and down to the ground. That's how I read those 4 class winners, taking nothing away from the other ones. I think they're all deserving of being class winners and standing in the front row as well. Our seconds behind them are awesome. I will go ahead and set the microphone down because there's one that suits me very good. I think that's just an awesome goat, especially from the side, especially from kind of a uniqueness standpoint in terms of his roundness of body, his athleticism. I'll get you a top 5. Once again, if we could please go ahead and put your hands together for all of our GOAT exhibitors out here.
Congratulations to all of our GOAT exhibitors today. As we finish up our grand drive, again, if you were top 5 in our rate of gain, please make your way to our holding area. Without your GOAT, you don't need your GOAT, but we will recognize you here in a bit. If you are a Clover Kid, make sure to find your mentor, and then we will start our Clover Kid show in just a little bit. Congratulations to our top 5 overall Market GOAT exhibitors. Our champion will be receiving a banner sponsored by, receiving a trophy, sponsored by Art and Sherry Sweeting family, as well as a banner sponsored by Powell Funeral Home, as well as invitations to both the Southeast Iowa Showdown and the Southeast Iowa Final Drive. Our champion overall Market GOAT came out of Class 3, and that went to Parker Shalla of the Riverside Ramblers. Our reserve overall Market GOATs will receive a trophy sponsored by Mike and Bev Black, as well as a banner sponsored by Powell Funeral Home and an invitation to the Southeast Iowa Final Drive. Our reserve overall Market GOAT went to Callie Brink out of Class 4 from the Washington Hustlers. Third overall will be receiving a banner sponsored by Powell Funeral Home. That GOAT came out of Class 3 and went to Ava Greiner of the Keota FFA. Fourth overall will be receiving a banner sponsored by Powell Funeral Home, and that went to Hunter Robertson out of Class 6 from the Lime Creek Live Wires. And fifth overall Market GOAT, receiving a banner sponsored by Powell Funeral Homes, came out of Class 5 and went to Callie Brink of the Washington Hustlers. Congratulations to all of our exhibitors today. trophy, but it was a three-way tie. All rated gain exhibitors, please make your way by yourself with no goat to the ring for your recognition. Again, if you are a rated gain top 10 exhibitor, please make your way to the ring for recognition.
Cal here, and I'm going to talk about KCTC's beefy broadband speeds. You can feast on the ultimate security experience. Monitor from anywhere, deter crime, and save money. KCTC offers a grade A premium menu of solutions, keeping you online, secured, and giving you the meat sweats. Plus, all new customers are entered to win a half a hog or a beef bundle. Don't stew on it. Visit kctc.net/beefybroadband.
Judging in college, both at the junior and senior level, receiving his bachelor's and master's in animal science from Iowa State. Him and his wife, McKenna, who is a former Washington County Fair exhibitor, currently reside outside of Washington. Thank you, Derek, for coming and sorting through our goats today. I know it was a hot one, and working with all of our exhibitors. Let's give Derek a round of applause.